This is Andrew Vontz, and you're listening to Choose the Hard Way, the podcast about how hard things build stronger people who have more fun, even if you're making up the hard thing that you're doing in order to have more fun, which is what we've been doing this week, this 8-day period, actually, about to be 10-day period with the Abandon Your Family 500, the most honest long-distance cycling challenge ever created on planet Earth. Before we dive in, with over $1 trillion in transactions to date, blockchain.com is your trusted partner on your crypto journey. Go to blockchain.com to get started today. If you're watching, you can see that I have my Lauf Sigla behind me. Why? Because it's the best gravel bike and one of the most fun bikes I've ever ridden. If you gravel, give the Lauf Sigla a shot. I launched One Real Voice, the consultancy built to help you thrive in dynamic, high-stakes communication environments. If you're a senior executive and you're ready to go to the next level, reach out to hello@onerealvoice.com when you're ready to be great. With me today, back from the blackout, the power outages, the firestorms, the dangerous down lines, the 100-mile-per-hour gusts, Spencer Martin. Welcome back, Spence.
Great to be back. I feel like I've missed a lot.
Yeah,
I hate to out myself. I did not listen to Saturday's show. Did Jonathan go on his rant about the extracurricular, or can we do that today? Jonathan's
always got something up his sleeve. And, any point Jonathan has made is probably worth revisiting 2 or 3 times. Jonathan Kaplan of Riding with Spencer Martin of Beyond the Peloton. Check them both out on Substack, and they're wonderful podcasts. And Jonathan right now is double fisting Wawa Italian hoagies. I did a bit of research after the input we received from Scott McGill, upset that we'd equated it to Jersey Mike's. And apparently Wawa's is, from what I understand, doing some research, it seems to be the East Coast equivalent of Quick Trip.
That's going to get some heat.
Yeah.
Spencer, you've experienced both. What do you think?
I mean, Wawa probably it is technically the equivalent. And Quick Trip, man, the game has changed since I left the Midwest, Andrew. I don't know if you've been back to a Quick Trip recently, but every time we go back to Lawrence, they've torn down the Quick Trips. Boom, not good enough. I call them temples to gasoline. They just keep building nicer Quick Trips. I would say, Jonathan, the savory food at Wawa is supposed to be legendary. Is this correct?
It is. I gotta get the soft pretzels and the subs, or since I don't eat that stuff anymore, I just get the wraps. They're pretty good.
So that's at a higher level than a Quick Trip, but we might have to invest. This might be an on-the-ground serial type podcast where we investigate Quick Trip versus Wawa.
Yeah, that could be the next level. I also, based on some of our recent exchanges in our private thread, I actually think that what we might do next is start a series where we create a consortium, a cartel of sorts, that finds lucky families whose power lines we bury underground. It's kind of like a Mr. Beast type play. We come to your town. You're living on a frontier between an urban area, mountain, forests. And what we do is we have a few lucky recipients, and we just show up. We have a crew. We bury your power lines. We put in a permanent generator. Maybe we put a wind farm in your yard. I think there's something to this.
Do you know they offered Excel Energy offered to bury our lines? And do you know how much they offered? We had to pay, though. Each house in the street had to pay. Do you know how much they asked for? This is a company that makes $2 billion in profit a year to deliver our electricity. And they offered $10,000 per house. Obviously, not everyone's going to say yes to that. So we did not get the buried power lines.
That's insane.
It's insane. Should we be just investing in electricity companies? That's what I'm wondering.
That would seem like a ripe target for your attorney general. And we know what attorney general stands for, right? AG?
Yeah, but the problem is we sued them and won $640 million. And now they're just turning our power off because we sued them.
Yeah. What's AG stand for, though? Almost governor.
Almost, yeah. those guys, huge celebrities. I definitely know who the AG is off the top of my head. Actually, I think our AG's running for governor.
He is
against Michael Bennett, perhaps. I don't know his name. He's not going to win.
Right.
But
competitive primary. You never know. Never say never. So, guys, I finished today, and I am so tired.
Well, do you want to share your fatigue score?
93 on Training Peaks. Was it 93?
93, which is pretty high for Andrew. That's about a rest week, but your form is negative 44.
I don't think I've ever seen negative 44.
I've never seen that. That is unbelievable. Yeah. I'm at +1 at the moment.
Yeah, and Jonathan, I know on the last episode, Spencer alluded to this. You expressed what I'm going to call some strong feelings about those that have continued beyond the 500 in the allotted regulation 10-day period. We, of course, had Dan Swenson yesterday, I believe, putting in, this is the Ne Plus Ultra family abandonment on the solstice. He put in a 180-mile ride. That's something. Dan, thanks for putting in the base miles. I'm going to try to get a copy of Dan's race calendar for 2026 because, as I've noted on previous episodes here or on Beyond the Peloton, when we did BWR Kansas of ever-honored memory, rest in peace, Dan was out front for probably 68 of the 75 miles I was riding with him, and he was a powerhouse. Now I know why. 180-mile, casual 180-miler, pushing him into fourth on the leaderboard. And, oh my, it looks like he squeaked past Kip Taylor in fifth place now. Dan at 628 kilometers. Chase Wark closing in on the 1,000 kilometer.
Unbelievable, man. Oh, my.
Yeah, Spencer, you mentioned you didn't get to listen to the previous episode when we had Chase and Art O'Connor, a.k.a. WooCar Fit, Chase's strength and conditioning coach, also S&C coach to world champion Keegan Swenson, a number of other professional athletes, pro cyclists. And Chase is putting in the hard yards. He is doing this on the Training Peaks virtual platform, which is markedly slower than
what's the
Zwift
platform
world
called?
I think it's Training Peaks virtual. I believe that's what it's called.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a velodrome, apparently.
Yeah.
I looked at it today. I didn't want to. The problem I have with switching, I would try another platform, is it's like going from Twitter to Blue Sky. Like, if you have all those followers or all those miles on Zwift, I'm not want to lose them. I don't want to give up to another platform. It might be better, but I think I'm so wedded to Zwift. But Andrew, before we get to that, I think, Friday I did a meetup ride with some of the guys doing the challenge who are from Washington, D.C., with Stephen Burwell, Seth Hamlin. Those guys are closing on 500K. I think when I saw those guys just crushing it and having already done double what I did, I think I was so tired. I just got so irritated, sort of with myself, just the fatigue. I just let it all get to me, and I think I felt pretty strongly that there's 500. That's it. It's 500K over 10-day. This is not that's it. That's all it is. And I let,
We got to keep Jonathan away from these third week Grand Tour press conferences.
Yeah, right.
I yelling at journalists, calling them.
Yes.
Remember Wiggins calling? He said he's like, I don't have to sit here and take this from you bone idle people or something like that. It's a classic breakdown.
Jonathan, I know that you're on headphones. If you were not, I would ask your family if you had thrown any stuffies at them, because that is another signature move from Grand Tour leaders in the later stages of the racing. I want to say that I think that what we've found, probably like many of the participants, is that we've been tested. And the point of doing this, as we discussed earlier, is that this is actually hard to do. It is very selfish, and especially at a time when, as my wife has noted over and over this week is potentially the worst possible time to do this, which I told her that's why we're doing it right now. Because
and then she suggested, she might not know this, a booked week for the Everesting Challenge in January. Wait till she hears about that.
Well, wait till you tell her you're going to take up golf.
Well, this is really interesting. So I think it's pressure tested our respective marriages for sure. I think it's tested our relationships together.
I was going to say, yeah, the biggest marriage of them all, the podcasting marriage, has been stressed.
I think it's applied some pressure, not the least of which is this has been an experiment of doing this podcast daily-ish. We've released, we
slowly go insane.
Yeah. It's a big lift. I think with the right sponsor support in the future, it would be well worth it when it puts those Jake Paul type vehicles in our driveways without that Jake Paul level sweat.
Would
right?
you guys fight Anthony Joshua for $100 million?
Would he take my dignity?
Did you see the end of the fight?
Yeah, I think there's a non-zero chance he would kill an untrained fighter. I don't think I would do that because I think I would get killed possibly.
Yeah.
How about you?
I don't know, man. I want to say yes, but Jake Paul's pretty good. I mean, I actually came away more impressed by Jake Paul because he didn't die. I mean, watching him do that finishing combo, you could imagine being murdered by that, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible, actually. Yeah.
It's like the Wesley Snipes movie where he's the heavyweight boxer and he punches a guy and kills him and he has to go to prison because it's assault with a deadly weapon, his body.
Happens more often than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, taking a look at the leaderboard, Andrew Savage sitting at 70th, logging in with 109.7 kilometers. I still think we're going to see some big secret uploads here at the end of the event. Meg Voles just
crushing
really rising on the leaderboard. Great work, Meg. Currently in 44th slot. Great work. Jose Garcia in 41st. Lee Ragsdale in 37th. Art Wukarfit advancing to 36th. Michael Fee, 35th. I could go on and on. This has really been quite a show of force from everyone involved. It's been a lot of fun. I alluded last time to the Abandon Your Family Triple Crown. I'm nearly ready to reveal the next phase. I believe that Spencer and Jonathan will both be indisposed, but for those with access to a trainer, should I reveal it now? What do you think?
Yeah. Go ahead and reveal it.
Okay. Yeah, so the next phase of the challenge is between the 25th and the 1st, the traditional festive 500 period. The new challenge is the 10-pack, and the 10-pack is to complete 10 Zwift races in that limited period of time. We will create a new challenge. You will need to DM me to join it, just like the previous one. I'm going to figure out how to put this together. And this is likely to be an honor system participation because there's actually no mechanism to account for it. I feel like this is a trustworthy group, and it's not necessarily about having proof of work. You know what the proof of work is, and if you're lying, when you tattle, you tell a tale about yourself, right? Yeah. I'm just curious, at this point in this journey, I think a lot has been learned. One thing that I learned from watching a random interview that Jonathan Vontz did with a podcaster I had not heard of previously, he was talking about how Ben Healy's tour stage win had lower media value because Ben Healy, in his quest to be Arrow, covers up EF logos with his number, the way he puts it on his skin suit. Yeah. And I thought, we've got some serious beef going on within the team.
That sounds like something JV would say.
Yeah, is he the next
sounds
Hugh
really
Carthy?
Interesting, and you're like, right? Actually, I don't know about that.
Yeah, is he the next Hugh Carthy is what I thought when I heard this statement.
Yeah. Don't say that about Ben.
Well,
don't put that on him.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to
out of the
note,
sport, I guess. I think.
yeah,
that's bleak.
yeah, I somehow came across a performance by Blues Traveler and Jen Blossoms playing a live mashup of two of their hits. And this may have always been the case. John Popper, if you remember him from Horde Fest in 1995 or 96, this may have been the case then. Something that jumped out at me is that Popper has, it's a bandolier of harmonicas, or I don't know what you would call it, whatever the material is that rings a hat. Is there a technical term for this?
I don't think I'm going to know that.
I know
off the
that,
top of my head.
Yeah, Jonathan, very deep knowledge of haberdashery, has a real passion for it. Yeah, as night falls on the East Coast and he advances away from the Wawa.
Look, we've come full circle. I mean, you're dropping names of bands. I started this endeavor watching High Fidelity.
It's a circle of life.
Feels like a lifetime ago. I'm bringing up the rear here. I always take a very relaxed view of this where I slow walk it. I didn't even arrive for the first 2 days. You know, what is, maybe Abraham Lincoln said this or something. If you have a day to chop a tree, you spend the first 23 hours sharpening your blade. Something to the effect of that. Where I didn't even arrive for the first 2 days. I'm like Michelangelo looking at the solid block of David that will become David for months before I even get the chisel out. I still have 168K to go in the next 3 days. So I like to use the anxiety wave at the end of this. You under ride for the first 5 or 6 days, and then you have to do it. So you're riding that energy to get it done. That's how I approach it. You guys you hammer it in early. I mean, do you guys feel terrible? I would imagine there's quite a bit of fatigue. Yeah.
Yeah. I had to get it done today. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, Spencer, I put this in my notes. Today, I took yesterday off. I also had one other day in the previous week when I took a complete day off. Just the way things worked out. I may have mentioned this on a previous episode. I've enjoyed doing these daily-ish podcasts. It's been really fun to chop it up with you all as all this drama is unfolding around the world as people pursue this elusive Abandon Your Family 500 completer title. At the same time, it meant I had some really late nights, being up till 1:30 a.m., getting the podcast out, and then is the case for you all with children being up quite early and often not early enough to complete all of my duties that have been requested of me, and not just requested, that are actual things I need to do in my family life. That led to some pretty serious fatigue. And the note that I made was, anytime you're deconditioned and you then endeavor to get in shape, typically feels quite terrible for some period of time. Mm-hmm. And that is the normal thing as you're trying to get back in shape. I had that day off yesterday. Today was my first day of intensity in quite a while. I did 15 by 1 minute VO2 max on the trainer today. Try to shift gears to get ready for the next phase. The 10 pack, of course, in advance of the third phase of the Triple Crown, which Spencer alluded to, which is, I have a name for this somewhere, but it's doing the height of Everest in a week in elevation gain.
And that's
right?
Not even getting into the ultra exclusive fourth phase taking place in Tucson, Arizona later that month.
Right.
The significant others have yet to hear about. but you bring up, I've been feeling, I can't imagine doing VO2 intervals today. I feel so slow. I've never felt slower. I don't even have a negative form score, but I just, this increasing the volume and riding at a steady tempo, I feel like I'm creeping, barely moving, can't get my heart rate up. But Tadej Pogačar, last day of training camp today, or I guess this was on the 19th, a few days ago, on the Costa Blanca, takes the team out for a little cruise. This is what these guys are doing in December training camp. So it's a 140-mile ride, 6 hours, over 6 hours. They do the Col de Ratas. If you've ever done this climb, it's super famous and in that region of Spain. 4 miles long, 6% about. Everyone uses this as a benchmark, and it's the as Wiggins would call it, it's the willy wagon. You go out there and you're wagging the willy around, showing everyone how big it is. And this is how Jonas Vingegaard got his contract. He got the Strava KOM on this climb. Tadej Pogačar goes out there, blows the KOM out of the water by almost a minute, beats his own time by 30 seconds, averages 20 miles an hour, and when I plug this into my power calculator, which I have tested against Pogačar's real power numbers, so I know it's fairly accurate. And he was drafting for this, so this won't be exactly right. But guess what the estimated power for basically 12 minutes comes out to for this effort?
I'm going to go with 7 watts per kilo.
Yeah.
Not even close. About 9 watts per kilo.
My God.
My God.
166 watts for 12 minutes.
Okay.
In December.
Yeah. So this is Milan San Remo.
The end of a training camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're clearly practicing for San Remo. On the Cipressa. Yeah.
On the topic of Tadej, the internet and all social media have been abuzz for the past probably 15 months. Obsessed with Tadej's activation protocol before he gets on the bike. You know what I'm talking about? It's the band doing clamshells, hip thrusts, etc. I have to ask, what kind of activation are you all doing before you get on the bike? Are you going on cold?
It's a good question. Jonathan, you want to go first?
Sure. Mark Duroy, I hope I pronounced that right, has been helping me. And he sent me a great activation with like a 12-minute video of stretching, mobility for your hamstrings and your lower back and core. That works really well. I'll send you guys the video. But I think, typically if I do it, I'll do 5 to 10 minutes use the foam roller, world's greatest stretch, shoulder dislocators, a lot of stuff I've learned from Andrew too. Yeah. That's what I do basically.
I've always prided myself on never stretching and never warming up ever in my life. So I jump on cold. It's like always done it. I have started to notice I get on cold and I can hear like creaks and cracks. So I might need to get an activation routine going at some point.
Let me add to that one thing. I would say that I'm so old that I need to take a shower before the exercise, but I've always been that way. Even when I swam in college, I would not at swim practice, but like before a swim meet, I would take a shower.
Like
just because I felt to warm up. Yeah.
Interesting. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
If I have time, that's actually what I do. I'm lucky enough to have a hot tub just for when we have parties with other parents who come over. And I like to jump in the hot tub before I work out, which I think is actually a good form of passively warming up. And then if I have time, which I try to make time, I don't always have time, I like to do some light body weight exercise and some things with bands. I do wonder, and I'm having Art O'Connor Wukar Fit on the pod here sometime soon. Art has done a lot of ultra distance, extreme cold weather bike packing. I guess that's what I would call it. Things like I did a bike, that type of thing. And temperatures down to negative 40 degrees sustained Fahrenheit. And I am really curious how he's thinking about this, because the band stuff I think is good, especially if you're at a race. You want to get warmed up. I think that the advantage of doing that, I have a whole hypothesis now around low cadence training as well, which I want to talk to Art about. I think really what's going on with the stuff that you see Tadej doing is I think that it's activating the stabilizer muscles around the hips, knees, and ankles people don't really think about this. They think about core training, or they think about strength training or power training for raw power. I actually think that what's going on, especially at the highest level of the sport, because if you look at these athletes, and Spencer, you were just with the UAE team, does anyone look like an American criterium racer? They're at the world tour level.
Maybe, I mean, no, especially not SoCal. Some of the maybe Scandi guys are a little bigger than you would think, but no one's packing on the muscle like what was his name? Kale. What was his last name?
Leo Grand.
Yeah. There's nobody like that.
Yeah,
Sadly.
there's not like a Jamie Palinetti Monster Media circa 1995.
Super specific body type that you don't totally see at the. I'm even Jasper Philipsen. You see this guy, great best sprinter in the world, I'd say by far. If he was in a race in the U.S., you'd think he was a climber. It's just a different type of. You have to be so light to get over these climbs within the time cut that nobody's that big.
Yeah. So my theory is what's going on is that the bulk of the strength training that these athletes do, I think the primary benefit actually is greater anti-rotation strength, greater hip stability, and greater knee stability. And I think that enables them to just put more powers into the pedals versus having an insane deadlift or squat, for example. And I think they do those exercises, but a lot of what you see them doing with bands, I think, is about activating things that allow them to sit more square and to rotate their hips less when they pedal and just put more power into the pedals that way. I'm curious, though, is just using bands the best way to do that, or is it doing some lunges, hinging?
Well, have you seen this machine Wout has?
The Wout machine?
Yeah, it's in his garage, and it's kind of what you're saying. It's easy to push out, like he just sits on it and there's no resistance, and then it pushes in, and he has to keep it from pushing his leg in. It like brings it in slowly.
Where can we see this machine? Is it in one of the Jumbo Visma documentaries?
It was on, actually, funny you mentioned, it was on his Instagram story, but then I just watched a Jumbo Visma documentary that it was also in. I'll try to clip it and send it to you.
Okay, awesome. I can't wait. All right.
Watch the cyclocross reformer today, guys.
Sorry.
What was that?
Like a Pilates reformer? Well, you'll have to send.
Like in a Pilates reformer, you're moving, right?
No, you stay still and you push the.
I don't know what Pilates is.
I've never been in a Pilates reformer.
I've never been to a Pilates studio, so I should speak on an authority about this. This.
Yeah, maybe that's what he has. All right, before we wrap it up, I've been thinking about this quite a bit. Adam Blythe kind of inspired this. Like a lot of people with a deep interest in fashion, Adam's Instagram and his look when he's doing, I don't even know what it's called now or which streamer it's on. What is the thing called that Orla and Adam are on?
The Breakaway? Something like that?
I don't know. I don't think I even get it on any of my stream.
There's like a weekly show, that we don't get.
Okay.
And every comment is complaining about the price of Discovery Plus in the UK.
Right.
Yeah.
Keen sense of fashion, like a lot of people now. And he's wearing the gigantic pants. And the gigantic pants are back. When I was skateboarding in 1989, 1990, this was the last time that there were really gigantic pants. It's where brands like Fucked, Drawers, Fresh Jive, and then on the rave side of things, Jinko became the big pants brand. Mm-hmm. Now big pants are back. The twist is that they have a super high waist for men, almost up to male nipples. And I've been thinking about like what are potentially the best jobs to have. And I think if you were a creative director at a fashion brand and you just had a switch that you flipped every 30 years and then a dial that went between skin tight jeans and gigantic jeans, Right? Can you imagine the PowerPoints?
And right when everyone gets them, then you switch it back. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, your pants are all wrong.
Right. The decks or the mood boards that are built talking about whatever the theory of change is behind why we're going back to gigantic pants or why we need skin tight pants.
Yeah. That is pretty interesting. I mean, it must be someone's job, right?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. And there's some complex rationale for it. And I bet tens of millions of dollars of labor are put into these decisions. Like outside consultants are brought in. How big are the jeans this year? How big are the pants? Right? We've got to move the waistlines closer to the men's nipples.
And their industry plants like Adam activate the pant, and then we all need it.
Well, you have to wonder, how far are we from some kind of gigantic pant look in gravel? It has to be coming.
Well, okay. Here's a pretty provocative question for everybody. I know like baggies exist for mountain biking, but at some point, I mean, you guys are rock hard bodies, fucking male models, so you don't have to worry about this. But there could be a person that does not, like my father-in-law, he's never going to put Lycra on. It's just never going to happen.
Okay.
Is there a middle ground coming? I had once had these Klume mountain bike pants, incredible, and they were baggies, but not so bad, because the problem is if you go away from the Lycra, you're flapping around. It's annoying. If you don't have an integrated pants situation, you can have a lot of problems. You kind of need everything to be tucked in, not sweaty, not swamping up down there. But they had a liner with a chamois, and they were pants that weren't skin tight, but also weren't as loose as a normal baggie. Is that going to rise up in cycling apparel, so normal people could wear cycling clothes, or do you just got to squeeze yourself in like a sausage? Or is it impossible to construct correctly?
I've never found it to be comfortable to ride in anything other than bike shorts. Anything that adds
kind of uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I get it. Not everyone loves the look, and not everyone loves to shrink wrap their body. And a lot of people have feelings about that. And that's totally fair. It's not for everybody. I think I feel a bit like a superhero when I put Lycra on. And I think that's part of what's fun about riding bikes is that it's like a Clark Kent to Superman moment. When I pull on the Lycra, the game face is on. I walk through the house. The kids know not to look me in the eye, right? And then I go out to the garage.
Nice.
That's interesting. There definitely is, a psychological component to it. I mean, sometimes Andrew's seen this, if I'm going on a ride and then I think I have an engagement or something, I might wear a dry fit t-shirt with cycling shorts even. But you go over a certain speed, it starts vibrating, and it's very annoying.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, of course, likes to wear a scuba suit anytime he rides just to get as hot as possible, as we saw.
Today it was cold. Today I rode outside. It probably started like it was 30, 32 degrees.
Cold, man.
It warmed up nicely, and especially in the sun. But I thought of this. I wore just a base layer with Rafa's core jacket and winter jacket, and that was it. I mean, I did wear long tights, winter tights.
I was going to say, did you wear pants?
That
was it.
No,
but actually, that was perfect. It was perfect. The only thing I wish I had a better pair of was gloves.
Yeah.
Core jacket is amazing. Love that jacket. Andrew, did you text that you like the Rafa core shorts, or was that somebody else?
That's me. Yeah, they're excellent.
They're pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic is better. You got to pay like double, but yeah.
This is probably going to be a shocker. Upgrading from bibs that I've been wearing for a decade has really improved my comfort on the bike. And I'm sure the even more expensive ones are probably better. I think that these shorts, which I got, or bibs that I got on sale prior to Thanksgiving for like $120, they seem pretty great for riding on the trainer. And I'm sure they'll be fine outside.
Yeah.
The only thing is, as I podcast here today, I'm in Giordano's highest end short, because I just got off the trainer. And I also have Giordano's not highest end short, and I find it far more comfortable, because the high end stuff, the problem you run into is it's built for, as Andrew said, anorexic men. And if you don't fit the professional cyclist form, they can actually, I find them to be quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, the higher end shorts tend to use a much more compressive Lycra as well.
Yeah.
And that's not always optimally comfortable in my experience. And areas where
we're looking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can kind of feel like wearing sandpaper. I wanted to note this because this just jumped out at me on the leaderboard. Devin Stewart in third was 644.9 kilometers. And Devin came from out of nowhere. Well played. Jonathan, I had to ask, it looks like you stopped at 500.8 kilometers. I know on the previous episode, you were really struggling with people putting in the extra credit and the debilitating psychological impact that created on your self-worth. Did you notice when you stopped that I have right now, before I upload my VO2 workout today, which is going to blast me up the leaderboard, but you stopped 0.7 of a kilometer shy of passing me, and you noted that you will not be riding again until the Everest Challenge, probably.
Yeah, and?
Well, I'm fine with it. I'm ahead of you, but you feel
totally
okay?
Fine with it.
Okay.
I'm totally fine with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. Just once you've had some time to think about it, I'd like to hear how that feels.
I just think Strava should have a feature like you can stay in the challenge, but like first is first, and then whatever mileage you ride after is just like somehow hidden. But whatever. I'm done. I feel pretty good about myself. My family,
as Andrew
might not,
said,
but,
it doesn't really affect us.
Yeah, other people doing more is they're just doing more.
I don't really look at I only look at the bucket with 500 and where I am. I'm pretty bad about looking at the leaderboard. I should get more into it.
No,
I just see Chase up there. Oh man.
As I said, men ride, boys count.
When did you say that?
I say it about eating crabs in the summer. It's like, how many, we go to the Eastern Shore. It's like, how many crabs have you had? I don't know. Boys eat, but men eat, boys count. Same here. Same principle. But speaking of that principle, I got a jet because the in-laws are here. My brother-in-law and his family are here. And I will be penalized by them if they sense abandonment.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being here and being in this space today, Jonathan. And
Andrew, thanks for doing this.
In a car that's parked with the lights off. I want to note that Christopher Scott, way to go, Christopher. 74th place in front of Chris Cowart, who's sitting in 75th with a few more kilometers. So nice work. And I think that something that might be coming across on this call and that I'm experiencing is I'm actually completely exhausted, and I get the sense that you all might be as well. Is this accurate?
I'm so tired. Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. Okay. This is what it's about.
Jonathan is not fighting off the assassin allegations with this look. Dark car.
Not at all.
Guy got out of this dark car.
Yeah.
Have you guys, I meant to bring this up on our initial podcast. There was this assassin who, and this would be me, Pulsion, had to log every workout. And he was riding his bike to his job and then executing people and then riding home. And it's how they caught him and convicted him.
Like in real life.
Yeah, because he couldn't put the Strava down. Had to log those miles. But it was kind of a genius thing because no one suspected him because he's just in these posh neighborhoods and out in the Cotswolds riding his bike, like in Lycra. So who would suspect that person?
And I think that that's probably a great positive note to wrap up on. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm not sure whether or not we're going to squeeze in another one before the Christmas holiday, which is something that we celebrate in my home. And whatever holidays you celebrate, wishing you all happy holidays. I am going to be dropping some episodes over the holidays. I have my Jens Vogt episode that's going to be coming soon soon. Really fascinating conversation with Jens. Looking forward to sharing that with you, and some big things ahead here on Choose the Hard Way and on Riding with Jonathan Kaplan and Beyond the Peloton with Spencer Martin coming in 2026. And remember, Choose the Hard Way is the podcast about how hard things build stronger people who have more fun. And right when you think those hard things are going to tear your life apart, your relationships with your close friends who you love the most, and your family, you're right on the cusp of having a lot of fun. So just keep going, and I'll be releasing details about that 10-pack challenge soon as well. Stay tuned. Happy holidays.